Okay, so we like to start our intro to Knollwood and all of our webinars really off with this overview slide. And so Knollwood is a nonprofit, which is amazing. We are here in Northwest DC. We sit on 16 acres right across the street from Rock Creek Park. And so it's a very beautiful setting in a well-established neighborhood. You get the perks of being in DC proper without all of the hustle and bustle and noise of the busier parts of DC. We are for people 62 or greater. And the best thing about Knollwood, in my opinion, is that we are a life plan community. So we do have independent living, assisted living, as well as skilled nursing.
And we are a freestanding community, and what I mean by that is we are owned and operated by the ADF, and it's just this one location.
Yep.
So there's not other locations. And those operating, Knollwood are right here on property.
Exactly. All right. So what is a life plan community? Life plan communities at a minimum need to have independent living as well as skilled nursing. As I just mentioned, we do have assisted living in between those two levels. And our skilled nursing is actually an umbrella of short-term rehab stays, long-term care, and memory care.
And you may have heard CRC,
Yep, CCRC.
or sorry, CCRC in the past, and it operates very much the same. It's just now renamed to a life plan community. I think a lot of people are familiar with that name.
Yes, CCRC is a little bit more antiquated. Life plan is the new verbiage that we're using. And I think part of that was to get away from specifically from the word retirement, because you do not have to be retired to be living here. We have residents who live here and are still working. That's amazing. All right.
So there's all kinds of living options.
Yep, which
We
we,
kind of covered those.
yep,
With the independent, assisted, skilled, we have long-term and memory care. Now, sometimes memory care can fall under the umbrella of assisted living. Ours is under the skilled nursing umbrella, and it does allow for there to be more care given if your loved one is to decline. Also, I always like to touch on the fact that not everybody needs memory care. I'll get a call and somebody will say, I'm looking for memory care. My mom just got diagnosed, or
right.
she's starting to forget things.
Yes.
And I always like to just take a little time to educate that memory care is really for those who have declined greatly in their disease to the point where they're really not safe. They may wander away. They may put things into their mouths that they're not supposed to, things like that. So it's farther along in the disease, and a lot of people never even get to that point in the disease.
Yeah, I think it's really important because we do come across that, both Heidi and myself come across that pretty regularly. Just yesterday, we had an inquiry, and they were saying, oh, you know, my mom she might need memory care, she has memory issues. And then I'm talking to this individual and it's like, oh, well, she's just forgetting some things here and there, but you know, she's living on her own, she takes care of herself, she can do all of her medication. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not what we would consider memory care. So if you were going on our website and you're inquiring, you know, and you're thinking, oh, my loved one may need memory care, before you put that in there, just say, I'm interested in Knollwood, and we'll reach out to you and we'll do a little bit of investigating. You know, we'll ask those right questions so that we can steer you in the right direction, because maybe someone is forgetful, they need medication management, but that doesn't mean they're memory care. They may be more assisted living appropriate. So
Exactly. And back to it being under the skilled umbrella, there's things that we do and can do in memory care, like feed your loved one, that we can't do in assisted living. And that just isn't under the assisted living umbrella for state regulations. So that's a little bit more of a long conversation. So that's a great reason to give us a call or schedule some time one-on-one with us if you have any questions about that.
yep, and our phone number, just in case anyone wants to write it down and give us a call later today to come in and schedule a tour or has some follow-up questions, is 202-541-0149. Okay, and one thing that's mentioned on this slide before we hop over to the next is we have a ton of floor plans, specifically in independent living, ranging from efficiencies all the way up to super duper large 2 bed plus den. I mean, like almost 2,600 square feet. That's the size of a house.
I was gonna say, it starts out with about 500 square feet, all the way up
Roughly.
to about 1,275, is that right?
Greater than that, greater
Oh,
than that. Yeah.
Right, greater than that.
Mhm. Yes,
So lots of differences. If you call and ask us, how much is your increase in or how much is an apartment?
please don't do that.
We like to be, we will give you our prices and, however, it's not an easy question, answer. We can't just
Yes.
answer that question because there are so many different options and it's related to the price. So we would have to give you, even if you have 2 bedroom or a 1 bedroom, there's just several different options that fall in those. So we're not trying to not be transparent with
Transparent,
our prices.
absolutely.
It's a complicated question. So we're happy to email them to you. That's usually what we start with.
Yes,
And then we, of course, always like to have someone to have conversations.
exactly. In independent living, because we have so many different, and that's common in independent living, you'll see a variety of floor plans. We have, fully appointed kitchens. Some of them, most of them actually, have walk-in closets. I think just some of our smallest 1 bedrooms and efficiencies do not. Weekly housekeeping is included and then dining is optional.
And they all have their own laundry.
Yes. A laundry is located in the units. The style and location varies apartment to apartment.
All of the independent living apartments also come with its own parking space. If you're still driving in a car, that's included as well.
Yes.
Oh, I love this kitchen. Here's an example of one of the very large kitchens. And this is actually one of the largest apartments in Knollwood. So beautiful open style. And here's another style of apartment. And the apartments all range in style from the finishes to the floor plans, depending on when they were last renovated.
Yeah, there's a lot of variety, which a lot of people appreciate because,
Not cookie cutter.
yeah, it's not cookie cutter. It feels more, it is more unique and it feels a little more like a home in that sense. Versus an apartment building where, all the 1 bedrooms look like this and all the 2 bedrooms look like that. So that is something that we get a lot of positive feedback on.
Independent living eligibility. So to live at Knollwood, what we are really, it's pretty simple. You do have to be 62 and older. You have to be in good physical and cognitive health. And then you have and then you have to have the resources financially. And that is pretty much it. We are pretty much stay full in our independent living. So there is a process. Sometimes I'll call people and they'll say, I'm really not quite ready. I think I'll be moving in about 8 months. Well, the process at Knollwood for independent living can be a year or two. And so it's important to get that process rolling because when somebody tells me anything less than a month, in my mind, that's a fast move.
Right.
At Knollwood.
Yeah.
A year time is going to be enough time for you to get on the wait list, start working with us. We find out what exactly it is you're looking for, and then having something like that come available.
Yeah, exactly. I have a customer I'm working with that I've been working with for 1.5 years, almost 2 years. I've been encouraging her to get on the waiting list. And she's like, oh, well, I'm selling my home in spring. And I'm like, well, you need to get on the waiting list, otherwise we won't have an apartment before you. So sometimes people are thinking about it in that way, which to us is kind of putting the cart before the horse. If you're thinking, oh, well, I'm thinking about selling my home this year, I would love to sell it in the spring. Okay, great. But if you want to have an opportunity to move in and have an apartment for you, you need to get on our waiting list. You need to communicate with us because we don't just have apartments ready for you to move in because your house sold yesterday. And the timing's not always going to be perfect, but Heidi and I are very diligent with our waiting list and our customers on that waiting list, trying to figure out, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they really want to move it in the fall. And where's our short list of people who are moving in, who are interested in 2 bedrooms, and just really trying to do our best to honor the waiting list, but also to try and get close to people's timing. It's never going to be perfect, but we work and strive really hard to make it work as best as possible for you. We did have a question come in about how many people are in independent living. And so roughly we say between 160 and about 200 residents. Majority of our population is independent living, just under 70%. Okay.
So our assisted living. So assisted living is personal care. It's more where you are going to be actually getting care, medication management. Maybe you need some help with bathing, grooming, reminders to go and eat. It's time to go to activities. And most of them are a 1-bedroom apartment. Most of our assisted living apartments are the same size. We do have a few different styles, and they do not have laundry in them, but they have a little, what would you call it, a kitchenette with out oven, basically.
Yeah, kitchenette with a microwave and a fridge, some cabinets, so you can store snacks and some plates and things, but meals are included. So most people are going to be eating their meals in the assisted living dining room.
They are handicap accessible.
They are handicap accessible. So in general, when we talk about assisted living versus independent, in independent living, you're not going to be getting care, right?
Correct.
It's regular apartment style living, come and go as you please, In assisted living, that's where the care kicks in, whatever that may be. And as Heidi mentioned, it could be with some of those activities of daily living, like bathing, grooming, etc. Or it could be something, medication management. Perhaps someone is able to mostly care for themselves, or maybe they just need a tiny bit of help, but they're confused. Their cognition has declined. They're not sure of where they are, and so that could be a reason that someone might be more eligible for assisted living.
Maybe they can get dressed, but they need their clothes laid out.
Yep.
They don't know it's time to change their clothes. They don't know it's time to get dressed.
That type of queuing, just to kind of get through the day, right? And one thing that I will say is, in general, we do fill our assisted living from the inside. But luckily, right now, we do have some availability for outside individuals to come directly into assisted living. So if you or someone needs help, maybe this holiday season helped family members or friends notice, oh my goodness, Mrs. Smith is not doing as well as I thought she was, and she really needs some additional support. Give us a call and we can talk about what it would look like to have someone move directly into assisted living from the outside.
Absolutely. We got another question. We love this. Thank you. So keep sending your questions in. This one says, what kind of activities and interest groups are there? So I just want to put a plug in for our next webinar.
Yeah.
What's the date for the next webinar?
Oh my gosh.
February 9th. And we are going to have actually some of our activities directors and crew here to talk to you a little bit more about what there is to do at Knollwood, because there is so much to do here.
Yes.
So interest groups, first of all, there's a full activity calendar that's planned by the activity directors with outings to museums, galleries. They go to the Kennedy Center, they go to baseball games, they go to lunches, and then there's so many different activities taking place inside of Knollwood. They have there's probably at least one exercise class a day, if not more. And then they have different entertainers come in, lectures. They have a men's discussion group, a women's discussion group, wine clubs, book clubs, happy hours. There is so much to do that some of the ladies say that they are busier now than they have been when they were working.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's absolutely true. And the title of our next webinar on February 9th is going to be called A Day in the Life at Knollwood. And so we're really going to focus on all of the different goings on here at Knollwood. And so that will be very insightful to our viewers here today and helping them understand what all we really have going on.
And whoever asked that question, please feel free to send us your email and we'd be happy to send you our activity calendar because I touched on a few of the things by saying what I said, because there is so many things. There is a choir here. The residents write plays and put on musicals. There's just so many different ways to be involved. There's a group that has a Bible study. There's a group that knits hats for the homeless. And I could just go on and on and on with all the different groups and activities that are to be involved with.
So getting back to assisted living, we do on this page talk a little bit about eligibility. So again, we're looking at the financial eligibility, just as we were in independent living. And as I previously mentioned, prior residency in independent living is not a requirement. We do, if there's availability, allow for people to move directly into assisted living. In general, as Heidi touched on initially, we are looking for people who have a slight, excuse me, decline in cognitive and physical health. Those are going to be individuals who are more appropriate for the assisted living level. And we are going to, is there a hiking group? No, there is not really a hiking group. There's people who walk, some people who walk more or less. So like we have one resident who walks like an average of 5 miles a day in Rock Creek Park, and other people who do walks through the neighborhood. Yeah,
Yeah.
more of an independent, like individuals doing it, but you can always link up with other people, or we could connect you as an incoming resident. And then someone asked if there's any dancing. I do know that they had, I believe it was a ballroom dancing class happening over in the auditorium. I'm not sure what the frequency of that is. And then they do some other like Zumba classes and that kind of thing, but
When they have live music and parties,
Oh,
there's
yeah, there's
definitely
dancing.
dancing, yes, and so much so that when they do the Zumba, there's a few residents that freestyle dance because they enjoy dancing.
yes.
So there's absolutely dancing. As far as the hiking goes, if there's 2 or 3 people that want to join their own little group, that happens often, and
Yeah.
like Helen said, there are a few residents I do know that hike daily, and we're right across the street from Rock Creek Park, so there's a lot of opportunity to just pop over there and go for miles.
Okay. Again, all the things we've already said regarding skilled nursing, we offered short-term rehab stays following, a hospitalization. And long-term care as well as memory care, and Knollwood is 5-star rated. So that's amazing.
We do have an incredible rehab here. It's private rooms. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to go to a rehab because you've had broken in your hip or had a surgery. Excuse me. Sometimes they're far from home for your loved ones. Sometimes they're not the greatest place to be and people don't want to be in them. Our rehab is very beautiful. It does have such a great reputation. We get calls from discharge planners daily asking for us to take people into our rehab. Our rehab stays so full. It's very unlikely for us to take somebody in that is not already a Knollwood resident.
Yes.
Now, there have been times that people have been on our wait list and we have been able to get them into rehab because there is an open slot and we know that you're going to be a Knollwood resident, and so we try really hard to work with you.
Typically, that is, if it is a planned procedure, it's been easier for us in those
Right.
Situations.
Or it's scheduled.
Right, exactly, right? So I'm having my hip replaced, or I'm having a knee replacement, or I know I'm having shoulder surgery. So I am on the wait list and I call Heidi and say, Heidi, I'm having shoulder surgery at the end of March. I really would like to come to Knollwood for rehab. And if we're informed, then we can work with our team, because we do have to keep hold a bed or two open for our residents in case of an emergency. If someone were to, let's say, go out on this rainy day and have a fall, slip and fall, if they have the hospitalization, we need to make sure there's a bed available for them if they need to come back. So if you are on our waiting list and you do have something planned coming up, reach out to us and we'll see if we can make it work. We do want to try and do that. So, talking a little bit about our rehab here. Yes, we have been rated by US News and World Report as one of the best nursing homes. We had been using that exoskeleton therapy, as well as a variety of other therapies. You know, we do, of course, focus with the physical, occupational, and speech therapy, but there are some other things that we utilize there as well.
If you're living in independent living, you can get physical therapy here in our gym. And speech therapy, occupational therapy, that can all take place as being a resident too in the independent living community. You just walk over, it's very convenient. I had physical therapy for several months and it was, you know, the hassle of taking the time to get over to the appointment. So here you just walk down and go right into the gym.
Yeah,
It's very convenient.
very nice to do that outpatient rehab here and just have the accessibility.
So long-term care, I'm gonna just touch on it very, very quick. It's our skilled nursing and it is very, very, very unlikely that we'll be able to take you from your home into long-term care. This is going to be utilized for our residents that are here, and this is the purpose of a life plan community. When we speak of aging in place, we're not speaking of staying in one apartment that you first move into. We're speaking of being able to stay in the same, I think of it as living in a giant mansion, but you're on the same campus. And when I say the word campus, I just want, you're under one roof. You don't have to leave, you know, one area to go to the other and go outdoors. But the idea is that if you were to move into independent living and then you decline and need assisted living and then were to decline and you need skilled nursing, everything is right here. So you would never have to go look for another senior community.
Yep.
Got another question. Thank you.
How much is it to get on the waiting list? It's a $5,000 deposit. 1,500 of that is an application fee and $3,500 of that is a waitlist deposit. That waitlist deposit portion is refundable if you were to choose to not come to Knollwood for whatever reason. If and when you move in, the $5,000 in total is applied towards your entrance fee.
And when you go on our wait list, we will start working to find out exactly what you're looking for. And then as that comes available, we'll call you. And if it's your turn to move into an apartment and you decline, you can do that. You can decline as many times as you would like with no penalty at all. You don't go to the bottom of a wait list. You stay right where you are based on the date that you signed up for the wait list. I know that makes us a little bit different than other places that I've been at before, so I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
And so really you're looking at a $1,500 investment to make a plan for your future. And I actually encourage people to get on maybe more than just Knollwood's wait list.
Yes.
We're okay with that because we would love all of you to live here, but there's not always going to be room and timing to work out.
Yeah, it's just to keep your opportunities open, right? So you've made this decision, you've come to the realization, okay, I need to accept the fact that I'm going to make one more move in my lifetime to a community like this. It provides myself and my family with peace of mind. And so if you only get on our waiting list, then you might be limiting your options. Now, we love that because of course we want you to come here, but as Heidi mentioned, sometimes the timing or the apartment size and preference may not work. And so, you know, we had customers that Heidi and myself both had met with who are like, okay, we're tired of our house. We're ready to move. We want to move in the next year. We've been meeting with Heidi since the summer. And I said, why aren't you on our waiting list? You want to move in the next year? Why aren't you on our waiting list? You know, because by not, and they are on another community's waiting list, but by not being on our waiting list, they're just limiting their opportunities. And of course, $1,500 is not nothing, but in the grand scheme of things, it is such a small loss if you were to not come here. So really, it just is to your benefit to join the waiting list.
I kind of think of it as, insurance. It's your insurance plan, and if you do move to Knollwood, all of that goes towards that investment anyhow. But one thing I would like to just kind of point out, and I wish we had a slide and we'll have one in the future for this, but think of it as, a process of steps when you're planning for your future. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And you're in step 1, you're watching a webinar, you're getting educated. So you obviously want to get this ball rolling. It's on your mind. You're in the process of making this plan. And step 2 is touring communities. You want to meet with people in person. You want to go out and you want to actually step foot in those communities and kind of get a sense of what the feel is, what the culture is. And then you want to get on a wait list. At Knollwood, that's certainly, I would say, early on, step 3. It's you meet with us, you get educated, you take a tour, you get on our wait list. And that is just part of keeping that process going. That's why we push that so much.
Yeah.
Because it puts you in, how do I word this? They're basically in queue of our group of people we're working with.
Yeah, I mean, if you are thinking, maybe you aren't 100% decided on Knollwood, but you want it as an option, get on our waiting list, because if you wait 6 months, a year to get on, who knows how many people could have gotten on the waiting list ahead of you.
Absolutely.
Like my one lady who's I've been working with for a long time, who wants to put her house on the market in spring. She just finally got on the waiting list, and I said, well, I'm so glad you did, but countless people have gotten on ahead of you. So I will do my best to try and, see what we can make work for her. But ultimately, there have been people who have said yes and made that commitment, to join the waiting list before her. And so it's put her lower in the queue.
So it's an application, it's a deposit. If you're interested, email and let us know. We can send you the application through an email. You can fill it out and come and meet with us.
Yep.
I have had several people join the wait list on their first tour because they may have been coming in from out of town and they know that they're going to take a tour and they want to go ahead and get the process going. So it's pretty simple process. It's just an application and a deposit to get the ball rolling.
Yep. All right, so picking back up with our skilled nursing, we do have memory care.
You kind of touched on this quite a bit, I feel like.
Yep, and one thing to mention specifically with long-term care and memory care is typically that's going to be covered by your private funds, or if you do have long-term care insurance, that's where you could get reimbursement for those. Okay. Pricing in independent living varies greatly. And I do believe we need to update these prices for the new year. So our apologies that these might be a little out of date, if we do email you that pricing list. But we have a range from, I think this year it's like 117 to 1.3 million.
Let's change slides because this isn't accurate, and we'll get you those prices through the emails.
And monthly service charge does vary depending on if it's 1 versus 2 people in independent living. Some of these things we talked about, what's included in your monthly service charge, the free parking. We do have a receptionist and security on site 24/7, as well as an engineer in case something happens, which is great. We have our Knollwood shuttle that makes grocery trips regularly and also takes you to the various outings. And dining is optional. So some people really like that because, if you like to cook, you're not paying for food that you're not eating. So that's great.
It says offering a relaxed, carefree lifestyle. So what that looks like, we'll touch on more in a day in the life of a resident, but as easy as your washing machine breaks, and that can be, a really big headache if you're at home and you've got a lot of other things going on. And here you pick up the phone and you call and it's all taken care of. Light bulbs, all maintenance on all of your appliances. You've got security here 24 hours a day, if that's something that ever worries you. And then also a lot of people just like the support of having a community. If you don't like to eat alone or you get a little lonesome, you can come out of your apartment and always find other people to talk to or activities to do. So, yeah.
So we have talked a little bit about the entertainment already, and again, we're going to focus more on that in our next webinar. So we will really spend that much time on this particular slide. But we do have a variety of educational, social, art activities, all the things. And here you can see a picture of one of our yoga classes. Why do people choose Knollwood? For a variety of reasons, truly. You know, maybe they want to get out of the house and not have to worry about everything that comes with maintaining the home. Maybe they don't live locally, but their kids do, and they want to be closer to their kids.
I feel like a lot of people choose Knollwood because it's a life plan community.
Yep.
And they want to know that when they make this plan, that it is a plan that takes them through the rest of their life, and they don't have to look for a community again if they were to need assisted living or skilled nursing. So that life plan part piece is really, I think, gives people a lot of security. We also have a beautiful location. I've been in the industry many years and I have never had the privilege of being in a neighborhood before, and it's because of when we were built. So we are in a residential neighborhood, which is a treat because it's peaceful and it's beautiful. We also, we have a reputation for our activities and our fun because we're seen all over DC, doing really fun activities, and people see our bus or our residents talk to other people. If you've ever met our residents or you know anyone that lives here, I always say that is the very best part of our community. We just have an amazing group of people that have chosen to be our residents, and they're very open and inclusive, intelligent. They've done incredible things with their lives. And to me, when you're choosing a community, it's kind of like choosing a little town to move to. And so I always, encourage you to come and have lunch or come to a program that we have where we invite our residents as well and get to know who you will be sharing this community with.
Yeah. And so just to round out our webinar, we're going to pop up that last slide. And we want to really thank y'all for taking the time to hop on today. We love doing these. These are Heidi's favorite thing to do. It is her joy. And so thank you so much. I believe we said February 6th the 9th is what we said on this webinar, but it's actually the 6th. So pardon us. We do need to have more of our coffee. Okay, we're working through this morning. And again, that will be a day in the life at Knollwood. So it will be it's a brand new thing that we're doing, and we're very excited about it to feature our wonderful activity staff. Please feel free to give us a call. You have both my number as well as Heidi's direct line on here. And I did previously give our main marketing line that we all can answer. If you want to, go online and put in an inquiry to schedule a tour, if you don't want to call us, you can go to knollwoodcommunity.org.
I just realized there's something we didn't do.
What's that?
I'm Heidi.
And I'm Helen. So
you
here we are.
Don't know who's who. So I'm Heidi.
Yes, and I'm Helen. So thank y'all so much for joining us this morning. And we look forward to seeing you at the next one in February.
Have a wonderful Tuesday.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.